All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, this is your place you need to be. We threw a little curveball at you, gave you a little bit taste back on Monday, but it's back on Wednesday now. Happy Hump Day, exactly where you need to be for a metal music show as we put a wrap on 2020, which everybody is stoked to get out of. You are back on the island of Misfit Toys with Jason, with Angel, with Psycho Steve, with Bobby Player. I'm Jay. But the fact of the matter is, it's all about this guy. This is his episode. This is his night. From the Loyal Order, from Black and Blue, we've got Brandon Cook. How are you, brother?
I'm doing really great, man. I'm in Portland, Oregon tonight and enjoying the day, doing a little work, teaching some lessons, and having some fun. So.
Absolutely, man, for sure. Well, again, we really appreciate you taking some time out to get to rock with us tonight, for sure. So 2020's really been a year that we all can't wait to forget about, but especially with the music industry, it was something that definitely changed things up for everybody. Talk a little bit about how your 2020 went for you, because you've got the Loyal Order and the debut album that you got with that. And then, of course, you've been playing with Black and Blue. What was going on at the time of COVID, and then what have you been doing to lead up to the end of this year?
Well, at the beginning of the year, I had been starting to make some shifts with how I was making money and stuff like that, and so I kind of moved like my side jobs to more of the forefront to try to push out some of the, just some of the like the bands that weren't working very much and stuff like that. So now it's like taking over, like with like, because I drive Uber Eats as part of my income mix, and just focus more on the bands that make the nice money. And so at the beginning of the year, went to LA with Jeff to sort of christen our working relationship with Tom Hazard. We went to NAMM, and we went and did a whole bunch of red carpet stuff working with him at the NAMM show. So Tom Hazard, he's our record label rep for EMP Music Group, and so we started working with him, getting our album finalized and finishing up all the recording, mixing, and mastering of the debut album for the Loyal Order. So after we finished all that, I went to do the Monsters of Rock cruise with Black and Blue, and that was about a week and a half of my life, and just really enjoyed being in Miami and Fort Lauderdale and going off on the cruise and all that stuff. And on the cruise, people started talking about like, hey, be careful, wash your hands every day. COVID-19's going on. What's COVID-19? Well, it's a coronavirus, and da-da-da-da-da. So these nurses were like, just wash your hands every day, you'll be fine. And it's the first time in years that I didn't get sick on the cruise, because I washed my hands and face every day like 20 times because I didn't want to get sick. And when I got home, that's when we found out, the government was starting to change their pathway, and their because it had been going since October. They'd been talking about this, and they had started to go, okay, we need to think seriously about shutting down, because if we don't shut down, we're going to lose this many people. So as soon as that shut down, all my gigs for the whole year went away. I lost about $3,000 in gigs, not all that much. I know people who lost, like that big Summer Rat tour, those guys paid really good money, and they lost like 30 dates or something. It was like, so it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars for those kind of bands, millions of dollars if you count all the Motley Crue tours and stuff like that. Just, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, money. And so I just went, okay, I'm gonna, what I did was I hunkered down and I cut all the drinking out. I didn't do any drinking at all this year, almost at all, and just stayed super focused on going and making money the ways that I could. So I focused on online teaching. I did some online recording, making records for people, like sort of co-writing and co-producing a rock record with a woman named Sarah Moon. I co-produced and co-wrote a spoken word album with a wonderful poet named Llewellyn Gannon. She goes by Poet the Moon on Instagram. And I spent the rest of the year just driving the crap out of Uber Eats because that was one of the only ways to really make decent money. And I ended up paying like, I don't know, must have been like $10,000 in debt, and like got all current on my bills and credit card and everything, and sort of turned my life around. Bought a new car, and like, just made my life the best it could be in this time. I got COVID once, and that was unpleasant.
Damn.
It was unfortunate, but I learned a lot about the reason that this pandemic is happening and the reason things are shut down. And everybody has their opinions about all that stuff, but just say, having had it, if I had had any problems that were negatively affected by this, like a lung issue or a heart issue, I'd be dead. Because it was really intense. It was not pleasant. It was beyond the flu, beyond a cold. People have kind of, it's just a cold, or it's just a flu, and yeah, it's not horrible, but it's only not horrible if you don't have pre-existing conditions. So if you have those pre-existing conditions, it can really mess you up. And so I spent the last half of this year sort of like getting the inflammation that built up in my body because of that disease to go away, like doing a lot of body work and self-care, anti-inflammatory stuff like that, to just try to get because it caused a ton of back pain for me. Like the disease itself caused a ton of back pain, and I had to go and get like 6 weeks every week on Monday of massages to try to get everything to let go and go back to normal. And finally it did. And here I am, like, a couple days before 2021, and I'm like, I fucking made it. We did it. And I'm really looking forward to like going and doing shows with the Loyal Order, because the band, we've been doing stuff behind the scenes, like making videos and stuff like that. We do everything social distanced, so that when we're doing all the interviews and like we did a bunch of interviews, like we did an entire like album press run, essentially with Tom Hazer got us up and running. We put the album out, released it. We've had three singles on the radio and 2 videos, and we're about to have a 3rd video. And it's just, the year of 2020 has been a whirlwind. It's been a hurricane. It's been insane. I even did some shows with Black and Blue in August, or it was August.
Nice. Right on. Well, that's definitely good, man. And we're definitely glad that, you're, back to being healthy and stuff like that. And as unpleasant of an experience as that. But yeah, just like you said, that's why it's always been important for people to take it seriously. Because I think you pretty much hit it on the head. Like, yeah, it can be an unpleasant but dealable experience, but that's for a healthy cat. So no, you're definitely right about that, man. So definitely glad that you were healthy enough to get over that, man, because it's been definitely been a sad year for music. Even just losing people that wasn't COVID related. So definitely happy to still have you with us, brother.
Yeah, I feel very blessed. I just read about a Republican congressman who was a congressman elect. He died at the age of 41 from COVID. Can't believe it. It's just nuts. It's really sad. It's sad to hear that people are such a young age passing away from this disease. Nuts.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, hey, Psycho Steve, I think it's about time to bring you in, brother.
Okay. So, Black and Blue.
Yes, sir.
Loyal Order. How did the name the Loyal Order come about?
Well, we had a name that the band was called Sovereign, and that band, the original Sovereign, I can't remember what their style was, but it definitely was not heavy metal. They came forward and were like, hey, we have the rights to that name, and we were like, okay, whatever. And Jeff was kind of around with me. He's like, yeah, I was thinking that like we could name ourselves the Loyal Order after the Loyal Order of Water Buffaloes, and I was like, oh, that's sick. We have to do that. That's great. I love it. And because if you take off of Water Buffaloes, it sounds like kind of a cool name, It's like Black Label Society or the Loyal Order or something like that. And so we wanted to always have sort of like this sort of union way of thinking, like the band brings in fans and keep them together and sort of take care of ourselves or whatever. And that's kind of how the name evolved. There's actually another band in town called the Water Buffaloes for the same reason. They took off the Loyal Order. We took off the Buffaloes. They're all friends of ours too, so it was kind of funny when we were like, oh hey, yeah, that's right. That's why you call yourselves the Water Buffaloes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, that's rad. One of these days, you guys will just have to do a show together, so that way the concert poster can say the whole thing.
That's right. That's a brilliant. I think we'll have to work that out because they are a heavy metal band too. They're like the lead singer. His name's Tony. He's just really unassuming guy, like kind of just regular Joe type dude. And he gets on the mic and it's like, and we're just like, holy shit, dude, that guy kills it. He's really good. But yeah.
Right
I want
on.
a Loyal Order T-shirt with a buffalo on it.
Oh, have you seen our album cover? Hold on.
No.
So here's our album cover.
Nice.
Woo-hoo. The buffalo.
Nice.
Yeah, the album cover, like we had Tom Hazart's girlfriend Melody Myers make this for us, and the back cover is a crow.
I like that.
Oh, sweet.
Go buy this. We are on every streaming platform there is.
Oh yeah. Oh, we definitely, yeah. Come on, summoners, get out there and do a little bit of shopping. We know a lot of you've got Christmas money to burn.
That's right.
Yeah.
Come on, kids, you like that rock and roll?
Yep. If you buy the album, you can rub Psycho Steve's head.
That's right.
There you go. And also they get Hanukkah money too. Don't be racist.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Racist. Hey, don't be putting that anti-Semite stuff on me there, kind sir. But just keep in mind that every album of the Loyal Order that you guys buy from Brandon, Steve gets another hair.
Yes.
You get another
Go platinum, please.
Yes. So it goes platinum. He'll look like me.
True.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it grows right out. If you only buy one, he just gets one long hair that grows right out of the middle. That's not
Yeah.
true. You gotta
Yeah,
buy
we
more.
can't have that.
What was that guy that Martin Short played? He had that thing coming out of his hair. When Martin Short.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I forget his name.
Ed Grimley? Ed Grimley, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Saturday Night
I
Live.
don't know.
It was on Saturday Night
What the
Live.
hell are you talking about, dude?
There was an actor named Martin Short.
For
Yeah.
Martin Short, yeah.
Oh, Martin Short. Why didn't you say
And he
so?
had the piece
He
of hair
did.
sticking up.
And he had like one
Yeah.
hair like sticking up like that. He had like slick hair and then he had
Oh.
Yeah, it was a
I'm gonna
character
do
on
it.
It
Saturday Night
was
Live.
like
but I forget his name.
alfalfa, but it was like in the front.
yeah.
I think you might be right though. I think his first name was Ed.
Yeah. Star clarified it. It was Ed Grimley. Thank you. Hello, Queen Bobby.
Wow.
Oh, thank God we got Bobby on. Thanks, Bobby.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Angel, I'm going to kick it to you, brother, while Jason's getting everything squared up with Bobby's connection and everything. So why don't you jump in with your question and the fans?
No problem. But just want to say hello to all of our fans. Carla Rice, thank you for joining us again. Kim Sullivan, thank you so much. Star Peters, welcome back again. Our good buddy, the Ultimate Warrior, Matt Porter.
Yay!
That's his favorite wrestler. So Kim Sullivan is going to kick us off with a great question. I haven't read it yet, but I know it's a great question. Okay. I read somewhere that at the beginning of this year, you stated Black and Blue would not be making new music. Any changes to that?
There has been no changes to that. Like, I'm constantly write. I'll tell my side of the story. Like, I constantly write. I'm always writing. Like, I have my phone that I'm using here is full of riffs. Like, I have Black and Blue riffs and Loyal Order riffs and like my own band riffs and all kinds of stuff like that. So if there is a choice made by the leadership of Black and Blue to do some recording, some writing, I have lots of material ready to roll at any given time. But you know, we it's very expensive to do this kind of stuff, and it's very hard to get music out there. You know, like I'm very lucky that, you know, Black and Blue, or sorry, the Loyal Order actually has, you know, we have a benefactor that helps us get the music out, you know, and professionally recorded and stuff like that. And I don't think Black and Blue has a label right now. So, you know, those guys went through the music business, and it could be hellish, you know, being in the music biz, you know. And they sold a lot of records. They didn't have a hard time selling stuff. It was just, I think it's been a rough road for those guys in some ways. And, you know, we don't have one half of the main writing team, which was Jamie and Tommy Thayer. And Jamie feels really, really tight with Tommy Thayer. And then the other guy who was the main writer of the band was Whoop. So, like, Jamie would have to create an entire writing relationship with me, and we live in different cities. So it's really hard to, like, you know, do that. And I love Jamie, and we have good chemistry and stuff like that, but we've never tested the writing chemistry. That's a hard, you know, it's hard to develop a writing chemistry when you're sitting there staring at a screen. That's really tough. So for us to be in the same room for any given amount of time to write something, we haven't done that yet. So I don't see it happening anytime soon, but you never know. I love Jamie St. James, and I love writing music, and I know he likes writing music, so maybe someday we'll be able to make that happen.
Oh, awesome. Star Peters has our next question. She wants to know, will Black and Blue still be playing on the rescheduled KISS cruise?
Yes, we will. Yeah, we have a contract signed and ready to roll. We just discussed it earlier this month. I think it was earlier this month. We are planning to be on that cruise. Once they pushed everybody from last year's cruise to the next year's cruise. So the contract that we had for 2020 was moved to 2021. So I'm super excited about that because Warren's going to be there, and I love Robert Mason's voice, and Rat's going to be there. So, like, we'll have, you know, Pete Holmes, and, like, there's going to be some really cool stuff happening on the KISS cruise. I'm super excited.
Nice.
And my question for you is, what was the first guitar that you ever bought, and do you still have it?
No. Oh, well, my very first guitar that I ever bought was it was a white BC Rich Warlock that this guy had painted over it. It was actually originally sparkle maroon, like NJ series BC Rich, and he painted over it like 4 different paint shades, like with spray paint. And me and my dad took paint stripper and stripped the whole body all the way down to the wood and painted it black. And I, like, put all new pickups in it and a new bridge in it. And that was my first real guitar, and it was awesome because I love Slayer, and, like, anybody that played a BC Rich Warlock was cool in my book, like Lita Ford and Mick Mars and Kerry King, and I think pretty sure Chris Poland played a BC Rich Warlock for a while, and those guys were, like, my huge influences at the time. I was 13 when So Far So Good So What came out, and that was the period. I love that band.
Oh, that's awesome. Did your original, did it have the like what I call the devil horns headstock, or was it like the rounded one, or like the hockey stick head?
Oh, it had it was the NJ series headstock, where it was like the original BC Rich Warlock headstock. Not the rounded one like Lita Ford had on her black one. It was more like one she has on her red one, but that was that red one. That had the USA headstock. This had the NJ series was called the New Japanese series, and it was a little bit more jagged than the USA version. And I didn't think it was as cool as the USA version, but it was still a pointy one. It was a stab him in the. It was an impaler.
Nice, man. Right on. Well, hey, Jason, let's kick it over to you, brother, while we give Bobby a little bit more time to get situated.
Okay. So I
I'm
want to
almost situated.
I want to go back to when you were talking earlier about the COVID that you had, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
So what made you go get tested? Like, how were you feeling when? Like, what were you experiencing when? I know it's different for everybody, but what were you experiencing? If you could answer that,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Basically, like I came home from my trip, and I I started feeling a little bit disoriented the night that I got home, and I was like, that's weird, you know. But I've felt that way after like, basically 24-hour travel days, many times. So, you go to bed after the gig, it's 3 a.m. You get up at 6, you get ready to travel, you get into the airport. It's, you know, you slept 3 hours, you travel all day, and you get home and you start to feel disoriented. But so I didn't really think too much of it, and went to bed that night. Got up the next morning, felt a little bit hot, and I was like, something feels funny. I tested my temperature, and no fever. And later that day, I started feeling a little bit more of that disorientation kind of feeling. So I'm like, I better check my temperature again. So sure enough, I did have about 101. It went from zero, like normal, to 101 in just about 5 hours. It was pretty fast how quick the fever went up. And I was like, okay, I never usually take fever medication, so I don't really, my body regulates temperature really, really well. But this time it was more out of control. So I let it go for that night, and then the next afternoon I was up to 102.5, and I was like, wow, this isn't going down. So I was like, okay, I'll wait to see if it goes to 103, and if it goes to there, I'll take the I'll take the like Tylenol is what I took. And so, it got to 103. I started taking Tylenol. The next morning, I was like down to 100. Like it really responded fast. And so because of that, I scheduled a test. And I didn't. This is now Wednesday, I think, Tuesday. I didn't get tested until Thursday because I didn't have anybody to drive me anywhere. So I decided that I was going to take a little extra time, make sure I wasn't disoriented while I was driving. I didn't want to like crash my car. It was kind of funky. So I just stayed home, holed up in my apartment, and once I got once I started feeling better and had an extra day off of like, disorientation kind of feeling, I went over and got tested. Now, I ended up getting tested positive, but the reason I think I did really well was because earlier in the year I had decided that since I was driving Uber and, trying to work and stay in public, I better get my flu shot and my pneumonia shot, because if I get COVID and it gives me pneumonia, I could die. So I got my flu shot, I got my pneumonia shot. So when I started feeling sick, I knew I'd had those taken care of. So it was most likely I had COVID. So I didn't freak out about it too much because I've been home the whole time anyway, just sitting at home. And wow. I just figured I'd get tested when I felt better. And yeah, so the main symptoms that I was having was really, really intense body pains. It was so bad. I'll be a little bit honest about this. Like, it was so bad that I was crying on the phone to like the emergency people. I'm like, I don't know what's going on with my body, but it feels like it's falling apart. And so they kicked me over to a doctor, and the doctor was laughing at me. He's like, Well, we've actually had this experience before. It's like because the inflammation is so bad in your body that just basically it really really increases the inflammation production in your body. So it makes it feel like in some people like your back is like crumbling. It's like popping and snapping and crackling and just doing all this really weird stuff. And the doctor laughed at me. He's like, "No, that's pretty normal actually. That back pain increases that much." And I was like, wow, it really blew me away. So those are the main reasons I went and got tested. Did that answer your question? If you have more,
Yeah,
please
no,
feel free.
that does it. Thank you for sharing that information. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I know it affects
The
different people differently, but
Yeah, I think I might. If you can get a flu shot and a pneumonia shot, go get one because if you do end up getting COVID, if you can't get the COVID vaccine until April, May, June, if you get those two and you get COVID at the same time, it can compound. If you can sort of eliminate, if you can eliminate other things that you could be sick from, it helps. It probably helps. I think from my experience, it seemed like it really helped that I didn't have any lung issues at all. So, took care of.
Absolutely, man, for sure. Well, Bobby, it looks like you found a chair, brother. So I think it's about time we bring you into this.
Yeah, and Brandon, see, I'm at Disney, so I have to be all COVIDed out and everything here.
Right.
I'm like,
I'll just. Oh wait, not this one. Hold on.
I'm like a queers with ears.
I got something.
But I'm at Disney. So one thing I got to ask, being a musician and everything, with everything that's been happening with the pandemic, and that, you know, my biggest concern is what do you guys do for healthcare wise? And we talk about a lot of things here on the Metal Summit, but things that we take for granted. One is what do you do? You mentioned that when you got sick, your healthcare wise, and how does that come about? You supplementing it.
Well, the way that I was very lucky. Like the state of Oregon, I don't know how the other states are handling it, but when I got sick, there was county level funding to make sure that people stayed home. So it's like, hey, you're sick, don't go to work. We're going to pay your rent. We'll pay your light bill. Any bills that you can't pay on your own, we will make sure that they get paid. And then, like, do you need groceries? Do you need any help for your children? What do you need? So the county actually, even though I was working and I had some income going, I couldn't go out and do Uber. I couldn't go out and do like any of my other like studio work and stuff like that. I had to stay home. So they hooked me up with my rent for a month. They hooked me up with about $250 worth of groceries, and I was very very fortunate. And they paid my light bill and my phone bill and a couple other things. So that was that side taken care of. But for my medical insurance, I have medical insurance, and
Very cool.
I have it through the national healthcare. I can't remember what it's called. Well, some people call it Obamacare.
Right.
That's what I have, and it's actually really really solid healthcare. It's Providence Healthcare, and so I was able to go see a doctor when I needed to, and they wouldn't let me come to see the doctor until after it was either emergency or stay home until you're done. So I got to go see my doctor afterwards, and I know most of the guys that I know that are musicians, they either have a partner, spouse that they share health care with, or they own their own business and they have health care through that. So very many.
Part of that, real quick, what would you recommend for any musician who is looking for answers? Where would they go for the healthcare end?
I would say, like for me, I have a healthcare broker that I use named Ray Armstrong, who helps me figure out the healthcare system, because I'm just not very good with that kind of administrative stuff. I have my limit of administration things I can do, and he's just like, here's the one for you. This is what you want. And so I would say call the healthcare marketplace and get on healthcare, because it's stupid easy and it's stupid cheap. It's like my healthcare every year, somewhere between, depending on like what I get, $69. And then if you make a little more money than I make, it's like $90. You know, if you make 70 grand a year or something like that, you get like a little bit of help through there, and it's like, you know, it's like $120 a month or something like that. It's really insanely easy and cheap. And you know, now I think they removed the mandate, so you don't have to buy it. But if you want to buy it, it's really, really easy. It depends on what state you're in. Like in the state of Oregon, the national healthcare marketplace is really just super easy for Oregon residents. And
Very cool.
Hey, no problem. I hope it helps anybody that needs
Great
it.
information that we need right now for anybody who's struggling with, you know, where to go. And look, you know, today, oh my God, who'd we lose today? We lost which golf from Gilligan's Island, Marianne.
Lost Marianne.
Oh wow, from COVID.
God.
Yeah, 82.
Wow,
You
that's
know,
terrible.
and you know, you figure for a congressman who just came off 41 years. Look, I don't care who you are. This thing doesn't care political party, you know, origin or whatever. This thing's gonna, you know, I just want everybody being safe. And you know, if you can, what you just provided can be a great asset. And Brandon, thank you so much for that.
Hey, my pleasure, man. I mean, like, I felt so blessed that I have that opportunity, you know. And I know people, Republicans and Democrats and independents and you know, Green parties that all use this thing, and it just, you know, it's really good for people who own their own business. It's too expensive to buy it otherwise, you know. Like to get healthcare, you have to make regular healthcare for regular people is so expensive, you know. If you don't have this, you almost can't get it, you know. So it's like, it's kind of insane, you know, to think that people shouldn't, you know. And I just want people to be taken care of, you know. And I'm really glad. I feel incredibly blessed that I have healthcare, and the things that I've been through over the last several years, I would be, you know, I didn't have like really any major things, and I'd still be dead broke, you know. I feel really lucky.
Absolutely, man, for sure.
Appreciate that. Thank you, man.
Yeah, 100%, man. Absolutely. Yeah, anything that we can do to spread any kind of like best advice, or advice, or love and stuff from our guests, we definitely want to do that, especially at such a trying time as this. But steering it a little bit back into like the music direction, Brandon, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how you got involved with Black and Blue.
Oh, yeah, Black and Blue. I have known a couple of those guys for quite a long time. Our old guitar player, Sean Sunshine, he saw me come playing at this local bar that he was tending bar there. That was his side job when he wasn't playing. And so he saw me playing with my Guns N' Roses tribute band. I have a really, really great Guns N' Roses tribute band that we try to be like, our moniker is like, we're the most authentic Guns N' Roses tribute band on the planet. That's what we say. So I don't know how true that is, but that's what we say, and it helps us keep on track, you know, with what our goal is.
That's Appetite for Deception, right?
That's correct. Yeah, Appetite is we work on that, and what we tried to be was like that authentic, positive sloppiness from 1987. You know, like, it's so nasty, it's so gritty, and we wanted to be able to achieve that. You know, it's easy to come out there and play perfect notes, but to create the vibe that they were creating, which was one of danger, one of like, to be able to like create like the riotous feeling that Guns N' Roses could create, you know, like we wanted to be able to do that, and we did. Like, there was a couple of shows that we did. Like we played the show in Montana that, you know, the promoter was really awful, and he he totally screwed up like the whole thing, tried to cancel on us, and then at the last minute he's like, I've got 500 people in my club, and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You guys have to be here. And we're like, dude, you canceled on us yesterday. We're like 4 hours behind schedule. What do you mean? So we show up at this club at midnight, and people are booing us and like jeering us and throwing drinks at the stage and shit. And we're just like, wow, man, are we really going to play this show? So we go in there, we set up inside 20 minutes and rip into a song. And that place went insane, you know, and just unbelievable amounts of badassery went on that night. I almost got into a fight. Our singer almost got into a fight from the stage. It was just insanity.
Jeez.
And that happened a lot with this band. You know, I mean, we're all really nice guys. Like everybody in the band is like real low key, no real egos or anything like that. You know, we all have our little moments, of course, but like, you know, we're all just like real mild mannered, married, you know, type dudes. And, you know, that music, when you play it that way, draws that kind of insanity. So, you know, Sean saw me playing that way, and he was just like, man, I might be leaving this group. He was actually thinking about leaving Black and Blue, and he came up to me after the show, or actually I walked up to the bar, like, hey man, how you doing? He's like, hey, do you think you'd ever be interested in playing in Black and Blue? I might leave or whatever. And I was like, huh. I was like, yeah, anything you got, let me know. And I didn't really know very much about Black and Blue at the time. And then, you know, I had heard that, you know, the other guitar player ended up leaving, which was Whoop, Jeff Warner. He left. And I was like, oh, wow. And I knew one of my friends was auditioning for the band. His name's Kevin Hahn. And I'm not sure what happened there, why Kevin didn't work out, but I got a call when I was walking through a grocery store, just buying like, you know, kombucha or something. And Patrick Young was on the other end of the phone, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, are you interested in auditioning for this band? You know, our guitar player, Jeff Warner, left, and we really need somebody to do these shows coming up in a few weeks. We don't know how much is going to happen after that, but we definitely have shows that were booked. We were supposed to do Monsters of Rock Cruise, but we're not doing it now. So, but we still have these shows. So what do you think? And I was like, I'm in, you know, like, tell me what songs to learn. And he's like, well, you know, we kind of want to see you play first and everything. And I was like, well, just come see me play this Saturday. I've got an Iron Maiden tribute gig I'm doing, so you can come see me. And so I went and did this Iron Maiden tribute band gig, and they really enjoyed my playing. They loved how I performed and stuff. And I got a call the next Monday from Pat. He's like, hey, learn these 5 songs for rehearsal on Thursday. So I had 3 days to learn 5 Black and Blue songs. Black and Blue, they're not simple songs. Like, everybody thinks of Black, you know, most of the bands in the 80s rock world, they think, oh, it's just like, you know, pop metal or whatever. And it's like, no, it's really hard. You know, it's like the guitar players and drummers and bass players that play in these bands are fucking good. You know, they're not hacks. They're not garage musicians at all. Most of them have been to music school and like can really play. And, you know, like Pete Holmes, our drummer in Black and Blue, is like, he's one of the most accomplished drummers I've ever met. He played with Michael Schenker. He played with Ulrich Roth. He played with Ian Gillan. So he had to play all the, you know, that history of Ian Gillan, you know, Deep Purple, and like he is the most accomplished drummer I've ever played with, other than Jeff Plate from Trans-Siberian. I played with Chris Caffrey, but like it was just insane the amount of talent that was in this band. So when I started working on these tunes, it was actually really hard. It was more difficult than any of the Maiden stuff I had learned, you know, for that gig that I had just done. It was more difficult than any like Dream Theater or Megadeth stuff that I had ever done, because it's deceptively difficult. There's all these little things that you have to, these little sort of nuances that are difficult to do. And you have to play them every time. Otherwise, it's not Black and Blue. It sounds like a cover version. And you're like, well, that's just a little upstroke and it doesn't sound right. So that's how I kind of got involved with Black and Blue, and how I developed with that band. So I did get the gig, and I was really, really excited that after the first audition they were like sold, because all the preparation that I'd done in my life to be a professional musician worked, and I got the gig.
That's awesome, man, for sure. And just for like a fun little follow-up for anybody who's never seen you play with Appetite, that would be getting to see you. Are you Slash or are you Izzy?
I play Slash. I don't. My buddy Mike Killian plays Izzy. He does like a killer Izzy, because he's got that. Mike has that very natural Keith Richards sort of like Ron Wood kind of vibe that Izzy has.
Mm-hmm.
Real loose and kind of slinky, when he plays, and it's a really nice match, because I'm much more on the Slash side of things, where Slash was a trained guitar player. I mean, he's definitely more of a rock and roll guitar player than, say, like Marty Friedman or Chris Broderick from Megadeth, but he definitely is. He took guitar lessons, and you can tell. But we have a sort of fire and ice kind of combination with me and Mike. It's good.
Nice, man, for sure. Psycho Steve, let's bring you back in, my dude.
So let's talk about the Loyal Order. As far as in, how did Tom come about, and how did you guys get signed? Because that's Dave Elfson's label, correct?
That's correct. Well, we started off back in, let's see, what year was that? We got a message from somebody. I think it was in the springtime of 2012,
right.
And it was right before we were going on a tour. And this guy had sent a message to my friend Jeff. Hey, this hunting show needs a title track for their TV show. Are you interested in writing a title track for a TV show? And he called me immediately. He's like, hey, do you want to do this? I think it'd be really cool. We'll the show's going to be on Comcast Sportsnet Northwest, which is, it's an NBC affiliate here that's all sports. And so I was like, yeah, whatever, let's try it. And we were preparing for a tour with Delana, who's a Rockstar Supernova Delana, and she's just a killer singer. So we're learning all this, this really intricate music for her, and the Loyal Order thing kind of pops up. So when we got home from that tour, we started trying to write something, and I had a few riff ideas, and Jeff and I kind of put a few things together, and none of the songs really lit up the guy. He's like, this is really good, but it's not what I'm looking for. So we were like, okay, tell us what you're looking for. And he's like, hey, so he was doing a shoot up here in Oregon. So he comes up, and he's like, he sits in my living room, and we're like kind of going over a bunch of songs, and he's playing all these songs like Blackstone Cherry, and he's playing what's the band that does Bad Girlfriend? Who's that band?
Theory of a Dead Man.
That band. And a whole bunch of other kind of southern rock, hard rock bands, like Shinedown and stuff like that. And we were like, okay, that's not all totally like what we're looking for, but something like that. And I had a riff before he left the house. I had a really good kind of riff kind of going, and something like this, right? And he's like, yeah, run with that. So one day I had been showing it to Jeff for a couple of weeks, and we were both kind of like, yeah, it's not ready yet. And then one day Jeff calls me, and he goes, hey, I'm coming over. We're going to finish this song. Let's make it happen. So by the time he drove from his house to my house, which was about an hour, I had the song done. I had all the music parts written and sort of formed. And he was like, wow, that's really good. Sounds like you just need a bridge or something. And I'm like this? And I just kind of jammed something. And he's like, just like that. And we were just in this moment of synergy. And he had been talking about lyrics. She showed me some lyrics that he had for it. I recorded a demo track on my home recording system. He took that home, wrote some lyrics, and we debuted the song at this club on. Do you remember 12/21/12, the end of the world? Well, we played it for a bunch of people actually it was in our car that night. We brought a bunch of people out to the car and played it for people, and they just lost their shit. We couldn't believe how intensely they were reacting to what we had done. So we were kind of like, I think we're onto something here. This might be a band. And they're like, dude, it should be a band. Everybody, our friends were like, you need to start a band. You need to do. Because we were like, it's just a studio project at first, And so then we wrote another one. And it turned out really, really great. We were so excited how well each one of the tunes were coming out. And we had a kind of a shift in vision that we wanted to start doing it like at a higher level. And we ran into our current producer, Rob Dacre. And Rob he just has that gravitas that can help you get to the next level. There's really good engineers, and there's musicians that have a recording session, that at their home, and they have great gear and stuff like that. But like something about Rob's he's just got a. Did we lose somebody?
Oh, we're all here.
Oh, okay. I thought I lost somebody. Oh man, he's bored. When we found Rob Dacre, it was like he added something extra to what we were doing. He contributed 2 songs to the album, and they're really great. They ended up being singles for us, and just absolutely like he made our band real, and we used a drummer named Joe Mangus, who plays with the Eels, and me and Jeff both played bass on the record, and Patrick Young ended up playing bass, and Kyle Baltus, our new drummer, ended up playing drums, and then we had another guitar player do a lead. So we really formed over a series of years, but for the first probably 3 years of it, we were just kind of doing it as a like a studio project just for fun, because we were all doing other bands and other projects that took up a lot of time. And Jeff owns a construction business, so like he's absolutely like dedicated to that, and he can't be like running a full-time band all the time. So we kind of pieced this thing together over several years, and then when we played it for Tom Hazard, we played the first single that we had ready, we gave to him, and he's like, this is really good, guys. This is really, really good. And what do you guys want to do with this? And we're like, we thought you might have some ideas. And he's like, well, I can help you promote it. And, and because we initially said we don't want a record deal. We were just like, that's not really what we want. We had financing already. So, what they do for us mostly is promotion and taking the album to market, and Tom he set us up with a team of people to help promote our album. And so mostly what they're doing for us is promotion. And we have a distributor that gets the record out to the world. So they move all our physical copies where they want to do that. They're called Von Artists. Our friend Larry Touring is kind of our main guy with Von Artists, and Tom Hazard's like, he's the guy that runs with the football. He's like, you need to go talk to Eric Baker, because Eric Baker is gonna get you on the radio, and you need to talk to Jody Best, and she's gonna get you interviews and make sure that your album gets promoted. And he's sort of quarterbacking the whole thing for us, almost like a manager, and
Eric
Jeff,
Baker, like is an M3 Eric Baker?
No, that's a different Baker.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, I didn't know he did that too.
Yeah, but Eric Baker's a friend. He's cool. But this guy, he's more specific to radio.
Copy.
And he helped get us, 2 top 20 hits with our first 2 singles, and I'm not sure where we're at with right now with the song "Fuck or Fight," but they're gonna continue that radio campaign for that song once we get our new video done. And so we suspended it until after the new year, and that when our new video drops, they'll continue pushing the song. And it's been just amazing what the team has done for this. I feel really blessed to be like a writing sort of like co-business running with Jeff, and like doing the stuff like this, like doing interviews and kind of spreading the word about the band. I feel really lucky to have this kind of team. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Hope answers
awesome.
the question.
Oh, it totally does. Brandon, let me interject for just a second, buddy, because we lost you off the screen. We can see a blue couch and a black table, but we can't actually see you.
Oh, sorry.
No problem, bud. Hey, there you are.
Ta-da!
Sorry about that.
Nope, totally cool, man. No worries. Steve, let me kick it back to you if there was any kind of a follow-up. I just wanted to jump in right quick.
What was I going to ask about? Now, since you're on his label, does he have any say as far as in like any vested interest besides putting it out? Like, does he have anything to say? If he doesn't like a song, he won't put it on the album, or does he give you all control? Because certain labels are pretty controlling. So when you brought him the song, does he say, yeah, nah, or yeah, put that on there?
I think if we brought Tom or Dave a bad song, they'd be like, this is not right for you. But since our label mix, like our business mix is, like Elson, like the EMP side is really more promotion and putting it out, and we're the creative control side. Like Jeff, lead singer, owns Buner Media, which is basically the finance hub of the Loyal Order. So, to have that, we're sort of maintain creative control about what goes on the record over on our side. And Jeff and I have a very, 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 very high standard for what we do. Like we constantly, I mean, like for me, I've been teaching guitar for let's see, I started when I was 15. So I know what number one hit singles sound like because they keep coming to me every time I teach somebody. It's like the number one hit single. It's not like, oh hey, teach me this B-side on a Fugazi record. That maybe once in 10 years that happens. So I hear that over and over again. And when I hear somebody, put out a song, I'm like, doesn't really do it for me. I'm not seeing that as a hit. And most of the time I'm right. And Jeff has a really good ear for that stuff too. We both have very deep pasts with. Jeff actually has put out a couple of different albums, like took them to market and got them on labels and stuff like that. So he kind of has a little bit more like a hit radar than I do. But my goal is always to be writing that kind of like iconic high level riff, like, like Enter Sandman or like, Master Puppets or like, something like that. And that makes people have, remember it, so we definitely like did all that stuff with this record. It was all on us. Now that's not good enough for me. That solo needs to be redone. That vocal's not good enough. We need to redo that. And Jeff and I are very self-regulating when it comes to that. It's like, that's not high enough level. This isn't gonna get the kind of attention that we want. So not to say that we're smarter than record label people, because those guys are like they're in the business of making music business, and we're still artists. But at the same time, like I've focused my writing side of things because I worked for people that had like good albums out that didn't go anywhere. And I could see why they didn't, because they didn't put the commercialness into what they were doing. And I guess for me, like I've always been into like more iconic kind of stuff, like, you know, Metallica and Led Zeppelin and Journey and things like that. I was always just had that. That's always what attracted me. You know, I like underground stuff, but I can always kind of see, like, if somebody goes, "Oh man, that band should be way bigger," and I'm like, "Well, you're not looking at the big picture here. Like, see that chorus right there? That's not. I mean, compare a number one hit single in the same style," and they go, "It should have been bigger." And I'm like, "Well, I can see why that, like, Kickstart My Heart was bigger than, you know, something else, like a Megadeth song, for example, like Symphony of Destruction. If you compare the like, you know, a chorus, you know, of like Same Old Situation and like Symphony of Destruction, two songs that came out within 2 years of each other. They're going out to the same market. You know, one was way bigger, you know, and you just kind of know why. And like, not to say that Megadeth is not iconic, but like, you can see how like Metallica was like much bigger than them and the reasons why. And so I've noticed those things over the years and try to apply those things I noticed to music. And, you know, not to say that I'm better than anybody else, because, you know, I'm still like living in my apartment at home. I'm not huge, but that's the intention that we're always trying to put into the Loyal Order, to like make it the biggest what we can, maintain our integrity, and also just make the best kick-ass music you can possibly be, like on a world level. Not like, hey, we're better than every band in town. It's like, no, we want to be as good as Metallica or Five Finger Death Punch or Shinedown or any of those bands that have like hits on the radio. That's the way we want to be. And it's not because we have like giant egos to be that way. It's just like, why wouldn't I try to be that big? There's no reason for me to not want that. And so I want to be. If somebody said, "Wow, your album was almost as good as the Foo Fighters record," I'd be like, "You said it in the same breath." That's okay with me, you know. And then, you know, we look at the charts, the Billboard charts that we were on this year, and we're sitting right next to System of a Down. We're sitting right next to Foo Fighters. We're sitting right next to Metallica, and like, it's really unbelievable to me the kind of attention that we've gotten this year. And I feel extremely blessed that we've gotten that. And a lot of it was because of that intention that we put behind it to try to make it that way. We didn't want to have like, you know, anything less than that. And that's what happened. So
Absolutely, man, for
I hope
sure.
that answers your question.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing great, man. This has been great. This is awesome so far. Jason, let me kick it over to you, brother. It's about that time for you, sir.
So I'm a guitar player myself. I usually play like Ibanez. What's your favorite guitar to play? Like, what brand do you feel more comfortable playing than anything else?
Well, I can show you some of them if you would like. I have a couple of them here. Like,
sure.
This is
yes.
I have number ones. This is my number one. She's Lucy. This is my GJ2 Glendora.
I want to see.
It's my Lucy, and I have a. So like, that's a GJ2. It's my little. It's got active.
Bird.
It's got EMG pickups, and it's got a Floyd Rose. Or I think it's an original Floyd Rose. Stainless steel frets, ebony fretboard, bird's eye maple neck. Signed by Grover Jackson.
Ooh.
Very
Custom
nice.
made at the Grover Jackson custom shop. And hold on one second. I've got my 1959 BOS Gibson Les Paul. So. So it's a. So yeah, that's my my workhorse guitar. I take this and do almost everything with this one and the black one. So it's like. So like, yeah, that's my my baby.
Nice.
And,
Wow.
Very cool.
I hope I get more of these. But,
Jay, it's your turn now.
Go
Go ahead, play.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to.
My Les Paul. This is Genie. This is
Nice.
Genie right here. And this guitar, this is Charlie. So it goes like this. Sorry, fucked that up. That's a little riff off the river. This is my my Tacoma. It's a DR14C cutaway, and it's super awesome. It's really super well broken in. I got this in 2003, and I've played it on everything I've done acoustically in the last 17. So this is it's my little. It's like. So yeah.
What's that noise?
Here for you.
What's that?
I was going to start singing.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll have to do that. We'll get an online thing going.
Right on.
Here we go. The singing debut, Psycho Steve.
This. So I hope is that coming through. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, man, we're all about that. We I think you might have popped the Metal Summit cherry on guitar playing on the show.
That's
True.
right.
Yeah. I think you get to own that, brother.
Woohoo!
And the singing debut of Psycho Steve.
No, exactly. We got to do something metal for Psycho Steve. I mean, he's got 4 guitar players on this show around him as co-hosts. So he's
Okay, hold on.
got like 2 guitar players, 2 bass players, and Psycho Steve.
Ready? Here we go. Here's some metal for you right now.
Okay.
I haven't heard that song in quite a while.
Yeah.
Encore.
Encore. All right.
That's awesome, man. Before I kick it over to Angel, I just want to take a quick second to thank some of our endorsers that look out for us when it comes to this show. So we always want to take a second to thank Saren Cadaver from Twisted Vines, Horror Decor. She actually makes all kinds of cool stuff, from plush like voodoo doll stuff, caskets, Ouija boards. She's super duper creative and makes everything by hand. So we appreciate her getting in with us. Levin Lewis of Levy Metal Enterprises, who does custom guitars, stage props, all that kind of stuff. We want to thank actually Brad Lee, Bradley Entertainment, for being an endorser of this show. So we always appreciate Brad, Angie, and Dawn always being behind us and rocking out with us. And we also want to thank Mark and Janet from Rock and Horror Apparel, who are alumni of this show, as well as clothe some of the members of this show. So we appreciate them as well being involved with us. Anybody who want to get down with us, just reach out to us. We'll talk so we can build you guys up. We can help build ourselves up, because we're all about looking out for each other and building up the community. So we really appreciate those guys and girls for being involved with us and allowing us to rock out and bring these cool shows to you every week, sometimes twice a week. So we really, really thank everybody when it comes to that. Angel, let's kick it over to you, brother.
Okay, just want to say hi to a brand new fan, Pamela Zimmer. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Hope you're enjoying the show.
Thank you, Pamela.
Ross, another brand new fan. Thank you for watching. It's like you start playing guitar and we get new fans.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yes, it is. We almost lost a fan because of your singing.
I'll wait till we talk off the air. Never mind.
Harsh.
Hey, nope.
Hey, I resemble that remark. All right, go ahead.
No, your singing wasn't too bad. You just need a couple of voice lessons. That's all. But you'll get there.
We'll talk
Not
to
tonight,
more.
but you'll get there eventually.
Sure. All right. Babylon.
Kim Sullivan wants to know, what's your favorite Black and Blue song to play?
Ooh, favorite Black and Blue song to play. Let's see. I think it's gotta be
Mr. Me.
You know, one of my favorite songs is this one that's like. That song's called "Heated Up." I love that song. That one's really great to play. It's got heaviness.
Right.
Super heavy. I just love that song. And I get to beat the crap out of my guitar on stage with that one. And then I also like playing Auto Blast. That's really fun too. That little lick that Tommy Thayer did, that's like, I get to play that on stage. Something like that. Yeah, I love that. Those two tunes. That's fun.
Awesome.
Wow.
And I have a question. When it comes to songwriting, I know some songwriters, as soon as they feel that a song is terrible, they will just quit the song, and other songwriters later on will just kind of put it to the side. As a songwriter, how do you know when you're working on something good, and how do you know when you're working on something that is not so good?
Well, usually I feel, I'm not always totally aware of like if it's good or not. I usually just kind of like working on, a lot of times I'm working on something that the band feels inspired by. So like, it's like, okay, well, if you feel inspired by it, let's put something to it, and then I play it and work on it until I feel inspired by it, and that's kind of how I work on things. If something's not resonating for me, I feel like I have a pretty good enough radar to be like, this isn't doing anything for me. It's not making me feel like I want to listen to it. I don't want to go and, You know, like I'll give you an example. Like when we were first working on Ready for Dead, our first single, I didn't really like it. There was something about it I wasn't totally sold on. And then Jeff sang it. You know, it was like, oh, okay. Well, the voice can sell this. Okay. You know, and then like there were a couple lyrics that he changed, you know, that were like, okay, I like that better too. And then I added a couple of like riffs. Like one of the things that happened was like the guitar arrangement was this on every verse. It was, and I was like, that's boring. I want to hear like the song develop. So I made a couple of little changes, like where I just put punches on the first verse. Where it was like, and then the second verse, I made it with the chunks. And then the second half of the second verse, I put this in there. And little licks like that to help make the chord changes a little bit more interesting. Kind of, you know, making the guitar arrangement more robust. And so when I'm working on songs, I'm always kind of like looking for little ways to sometimes even subtract. Like if it's too busy, it's like, nah, man, let the bass line top there, you know, or like, you know, let's make this orchestration dynamic, you know, in some way. It's like it feels really too samey for too long. And I try to, you know, do those things that help make the song interesting and make me want to listen to it again. You know, I feel like I'm a pretty discerning listener, like of things that I like. And, you know, so I try to bring those elements that I really love into music. And that's kind of where the band gets its sound, from all of us doing that thing. You know, our producer does the same thing. It's like, no, like pull that out because it's too much. You know, we want to hear like more of the vocal there. So you got to thin the guitar arrangement out. Okay, let's do it. You know, you end up making a more simple guitar part so that the vocal stands out, and then the complicated guitar part comes in on the next part or something like that. So always like, yeah, I don't know if you cook at all, if any of you guys cook, but like to me, a really great song is a lot like a meal. You have to have the basics. You got to have like the meat, the potatoes, the veggies, you know, something like that. The meat starts with veggies. And if you don't have those basic things, you know, like a really good meaty riff to latch on to, you know, or a really killer vocal hook, you know, if you don't have that, you don't got no meat. You know, you got just some lame guitar riff. That's not a song. And you have to have something that people, when they hear it the first time, they go, fuck yeah, I want to hear that again, you know. And in our modern world, we don't have any time for anybody to get used to anything. So it's got to be like catchy right out of the gate. And it's like, oh wow, I took a month to listen to that brand new Slaughter album. You know, I'm sure the new Slaughter album is amazing, but I'm just saying that's the first word that came out of my mouth. But like, no one has a month to listen to that album anymore, because you got a cell phone, you've got a computer, you've got a TV, you've got the radio in the car on the way to work, you've got radio at work. You know, everybody has all the time, constant input, and we need to write songs that are instantly like recognizable and like catches you by the throat. And if you write a ballad, it's got to have like some sort of emotional thing that catches people right away, like a dynamic, or like something that just like, or just a little chime of something that makes everyone go, oh wow, I really want to hear that again. And otherwise you don't have them, you don't have their attention. And so that's kind of how I approach songwriting. I'm always trying to like create something within the song that draws me in as a listener. You know, it's hard to think about things in two different ways. Sometimes I'm a player, but most of the time I'm a listener. You know, if I'm hearing a song and I'm hearing something in my head to fill in that place, or like to make it better, it's almost like I don't even need my guitar. Like the guitar is just the instrument that conveys it. It's not the writing utensil. It's sort of like how music, the conduit that gets my ideas out of my head, and not like I'm playing a chord and be like, does that work? It's like, no, I know that doesn't work. That's why I didn't play it. So anyway, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, absolutely, man, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
I'll
was
tell you,
good
Brent,
insight.
I mean, I can make you a killer can of SpaghettiOs, dude, but Psycho Steve, he's the chef.
Yes, he is.
Me and Steve would
Yeah,
have
he's the
fun.
Psycho
chef of the
chef.
group.
Yep, he's the chef of the group.
Psycho chef. Like,
Yeah. If you've got rosemary and potatoes and some coconut milk in your refrigerator, you got to figure out something to do with that, man. You know, like you can't just throw it away. If you got broccoli and you've got some garlic powder and you got like some olive oil, you know, do something with it. But if you have other things, do something with that, you know. And somebody comes with a cool meaty riff that I'm just like, that's a really nice piece of meat you got there, you know. And I want to hear that, you know. I want to hear some more of that, you know, and you know, or a really great lyric. You know, I came in with one time with this. That's all it was. I was like drunk at a party one night, and I had an idea in my head, and I was like, "Oh wow, I got to record this." So I grabbed my guitar, figured out what it was, and like 3 years later, I played it for Jeff, and he was like, "What is that, dude? That's cool." And I'm like, "I don't know. I thought I was on a plane going somewhere, and I played it, and it ended up being something cool. So what do you think?" And we came up with an idea right then and there, and it turned out to be the song "The River." So yeah, cooking and writing music is very much similar to me. So anyway.
oh, absolutely, brother, for sure. So I just kind of have kind of an off the cuff kind of question for you, because you were talking about your influences and all the stuff that you're really into, and that you're definitely like you were a metal guy, you know, growing up with like Metallica and Megadeth and all this kind of stuff. Just out of curiosity, about 5 years ago or so, when Broderick left Megadeth, did you ever audition or think about auditioning, or do you know if maybe that was just like something Megadeth, you know, got their new guy amongst themselves?
I had somebody message me about doing that, and I was like, I had the cognition that I wasn't the guy, because I'd learned some Megadeth songs around that time, and you know, I knew that I wasn't the dude. I definitely like, I didn't even try. You know, I was just like, yeah, I'm not ready for that kind of gig yet. You know, and when they said Kiko's name, I was like, yeah, absolutely. You know, like that's the guy. And because Kiko, like, he's like, Megadeth is basically a progressive rock band that has radio hits. They have such.
Sorry.
Dane is absolutely one of the greatest guitar players of all time. I mean, like he's like, let's say his legacy, because I know he's got some hand issues now and like some of that stuff, but he writes insane lyrics. He writes insane arrangements on guitar, and like he is the harbinger of what is Megadeth. And you know, as much as I know, if I spent the 6 months to like get up to that speed level and like technical level and stuff like that of consistency and precision, I could probably do it. But he don't have 6 months for me. You know, he needs somebody that's already at that level. And most of the bands that I'm playing in, they don't play at that technical level. You know, it's like, you know, if you sped Black and Blue songs up like by 30 or 40%, then you're like, okay, now I'm playing like Megadeth level songs. Like, that's not how we play. So I don't get to play that way very much. And I've never had a real reason to practice to play that much, because you just don't have that kind of gig coming out of Portland, Oregon. There's no bands that play Megadeth level stuff in Portland, Oregon. I'd have to be living in LA or something to get that kind of opportunity. But you know, I understand. I had an opportunity to audition for Marty Friedman's band in 2003, and make a run at being in his band. And I ended up getting some guitar lessons from him because I was like, hey, if this doesn't work out, I'll just chalk it up as lessons. And Marty's like, okay, cool, yeah, that works for me. So I sat and worked with Marty for 3 different auditions, and I just wasn't the guy. But the guy that did get the gig, Ron Jarzambek, I took some lessons from him too. And there are things that I do that are similar to what those guys do. But those guys have been doing it for 30 years. And I haven't been doing that for 30 years. So I just kind of know, like, I have to go with my strong suit. And if something like an audition for Megadeth came up and Dave Mustaine was like, I really like that Brandon Cook guy. I know he needs some time to, like, get up his tempo and stuff like that, but, like, he's the guy. I want him in this band. I'd absolutely do it any day of the week, But, I know what I am, and I'm pretty well aware of my technical level at the moment. And I'm working on getting my tempos and stuff like that and kind of changing some ways of, like, playing that I've been working on just because I have some goals that I'm trying to get to. Also, I'm really inspired by the new level of guitar player that's coming out on, like, Instagram. I don't know if you guys are checking Instagram out, but there's some guys on that. There's this guy named Joe Robinson. He's an acoustic guitar player. He plays some electric too, but, like, he does these, like, acoustic arrangements of songs, and it just blows me away. There's Tosin Abasi, there's Rick Beato, there's, like, like the lady guitar players out there, like CC Shred is what she goes by on Instagram, but
The Asian girl?
Courtney Cox. She's
freaking incredible from the Iron Maidens.
Yeah.
Freaking hot.
There's all these, like, one guy goes by Guitar Boss. His name's Jay Tarantino. He's the rhythm guitar player for Angel Vivaldi.
Right.
Angel Vivaldi in his own right is amazing. And then his sideman, Jay Tarantino, is, like, fucking ridiculous. So, like, I'm constantly watching people on the Instagram, and Jared James Nichols, Joe Bonamassa, Neil Sean's putting out stuff every day on Insta, and I'm just like, that's the world, and I must compete in it. So that's really been inspiring to me to, like, really, go, okay, yeah, I've been doing the sloppy slash thing for, 15 years. I can do that any day of the week. I can pretend to not play clean, but, now it's like, you can't live that way anymore. You can't live in nostalgia, like, of Slash when he didn't play great. He was just, like, such a, like a savant kind of level player. And now Slash is, like, unbelievable, and he's got, his other guitar player in Guns N' Roses, Richard Fortus. So it's like, well, that's the level you have to be the sideman in Guns N' Roses now. You have to be at least as good or better than Slash,
Oh, yeah.
So I have the other part of things that I've been doing during the pandemic is practicing my fucking balls off. Like, every single day I practice my guitar. So I'm never take anything for granted. That's one of the things I've learned in this world since I've been in the music biz. Since I auditioned for Marty Friedman in 2003, I never take anything for granted. I've had some, because I have that mentality with this stuff, I've had some amazing opportunities come. And, now because of that work ethic of never taking things for granted, I've got songs in the Billboard charts, and, I'm talking to you lovely people about things I do,
Absolutely, man.
I feel really lucky.
No, for sure, brother. I mean, it's crazy with all those guitar players out there. I mean, I saw Tosin on the Generation Axe tour when they came through DC, and just seeing him with, I mean, Zach and Steve and Yngwie and Nuno. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, and you mentioned Courtney from the Iron Maidens, and Nikki's no slouch either. And she's got a really good band with her boyfriend, Heaven Below, and her boyfriend's in Lita Ford. Like,
Patrick Kennison's another guy who really is inspiring.
Yeah, exactly, Patrick.
Unbelievable. Mitch Perry's another guy that really inspires me. He's got the massive feel, like, I got a chance to play with Mitch one time in LA, and I got to play rhythm guitar for him, and I was, like, standing watching him, and I'm like, listen to that feel. Just listen to that slink, that, amazing tone coming out of that guitar. Yeah, and Patrick's the same way. He's like, Nikki Stringfeld, man, she's a great guitar player. She's a good writer. I listened to a little bit of her solo record a couple years back, and she is no slouch. She's fucking awesome. So that like I said, like that, all that, a lot of guitar players they wanna be the best and all that stuff. But I think to really appreciate where you sit in the pecking order, or like the scheme of things, and adjust based on what the climate is. Like the climate right now is play the best you can all the time because everybody's watching all the time. That's what I have to do. And, those people have been really inspiring to me. Pliny, like that guy. He's such a low-key, unassuming guitar player. And then he's just like, it's like magic coming out of his fingers. I don't listen to him very much, but I see his stuff on Insta, and it's like amazing.
Oh, it's insane. It's super duper insane. So Brandon, as we get to around this time of the hour is usually when we kind of prepare and set us up for like our final swing around the table. Do you have a few more minutes with us?
Yep, absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome, man. For sure. Psycho, it's all you, brother.
So you mentioned like Tobin Abbasi. He's in that band Animals as Leaders, I believe, right?
Yep.
So as far as, and then you brought up when you tried out for Marty was already out of Megadeth, if I can.
That's right.
Right. So okay. Do you still keep in touch with him?
Here and there, I keep in touch with Marty. Like he lives in Japan.
Right.
I
watch him on Insta too. So.
What's that?
I watch him on Instagram too. I'm just like,
oh yeah, Marty's amazing. I watched a little thing of him last night. He's just sitting there playing live on just playing live, and it's like, you're not lip syncing, are you? At all. You're just live, killing it. Not just killing it, like destroying it. Like Marty is like one of the greatest guitar players on the living planet. Like Steve Vai or like Joe Satriani to me. Like, but like, I don't keep in touch with him very often. Every once in a while, I wish him happy birthday or something. He's just a busy guy. He's got like 500,000 or 1 million followers or some shit on Instagram. It's unbelievable how much, to think like that guy gets probably more messages than I have in my entire email box completely, like in a couple of days. And so I don't really like, I try not to bother those guys too much because they're busy, and I try to, but like I'm closer friends with Jordan, his guitar player, Jordan Ziff, because he's in rap with Black and Blues drummer. Ian. So like I really like Jordan a lot, and he's always been really sweet to me. And I've actually I have a video of me playing live on stage with Marty and Jordan. I got to play with those guys a couple of years back when they did their tour. Marty was doing this thing where he'd invite guitar players up on stage, sort of as a surprise at the shows. And I just happened to be really close to the front, and I had messaged Marty right before the show. He's like, "Oh, cool! I'll be good to see you down at the show." And he didn't mention anything to it, and I was just like, he said, "Who's man enough to come up here and play with me and Jordan?" Somebody pushed me. He's like, "Go!" I'm like, "Okay." My 10-year-old daughter's in the room, and I didn't even think. I just left. I left my 10-year-old daughter in the crowd. She's like, "Go, Daddy, go!" And I'm like, "Okay." So I run up to the stage, and I'm like, "Dude," and he's like, "Come on up," and we played together. And it was a huge, for me, it was a big comeuppance because he hadn't heard me play in many, many years. And I did really well. And so I walked backstage because I know because of playing with Guns N' Roses tribute, I know all the staff at the place he was playing. So I was like, "Hey, I need to go back and talk to Marty." And they're like, "Oh yeah, go ahead." And Willie G, one of the greatest guitar techs on the road right now, he was like, he had to help me, and I was like, "Hey, I'm the guy that played with Marty just a minute ago." He's like, "Oh yeah, come on, I'll walk you up." And so I went upstairs and I introduced my daughter to Marty because we knew each other before, but he he didn't know my kid was 10 years old and could speak Japanese. So he and his Japanese part of his band stood there talking Japanese to my daughter for like half an hour or something. And I'm sitting there with Jordan on the couch just jaw-jacking about guitar nerd stuff. And they're all talking to Lisa, my daughter, in Japanese. So it was really fun. And it was a really great experience for me to kind of reconnect. And he was like, "No, man, you're doing really good. You sound great, and really, really proud of you for what you've accomplished." And I told him a little bit about what I was doing with Black and Blue, and the Loyal Order was kind of starting to get some steam rolling at that time. So it was nice to have a reconnect with him, and have him kind of know who I was. It was really cool. So that's my mark.
Konnichiwa.
Yeah, konnichiwa.
Nice.
Dude, that's
Exactly.
rad for sure, man. Jason, let's kick it up to you, brother.
It's funny, every time you said the name Marty, McFly kept popping up into my head. And then you were saying guitarist, and I'm like, all right, okay, it works.
Fly.
Wow.
Oh, that's just the power of love, Jason.
That's right.
So, so,
Sorry. Go ahead.
So, let me ask you, what, okay, so if you could choose anyone to perform with that you haven't already, that you would want to, whether they're dead or alive, who would that be?
I have a very long list. I can like riff a little if you want.
Absolutely.
So like one of the first ones that popped to mind when you asked me that was Dave Grohl. I've gotten a chance to jam with Metallica, so that was the very first thing that came into my head, and I was like, I've had a chance to play with those guys. That was pretty rad, So I played with members of Megadeth. I actually took a lesson from Al Pitrelli right after he left Megadeth, and so I got to jam with him. Dave Grohl, I want to play songs with Dave. I want to play like anything I can get to play with Dave Grohl. Him on drums, him on vocals, whatever. He's just a joy. Like everybody I've ever met that knows him is like, or like has run into him. They say he's just a joy to be around. He's like a really happy, nice, like connective person, and like he's just treats people with so much respect. And not only that, he's just phenomenal. One of the greatest musicians that ever lived, in my opinion. He's just amazing.
I've heard that he's a very personable person, like very, just everything that you're saying. It's like I've never heard anything bad about him.
Yeah, and I don't even want to. I don't want to. If he's really bad guy, I never want to hear about it, because it's like he's one of the guys that makes me do the work I do on myself as a person, much less how much I want to like further my vision as a guitar player. He's got his vision as a drummer, and like he's much more about punk rock and stuff like that. But he's one of those people that's like, do what you love. Whatever it is that you love, do that all the way. If you want to be a musician, don't try to be me, be you, but the best you that you can ever be. That's the Dave Grohl sort of mentality. And so I'm like always trying to be that. And he's a huge inspiration in that way. So like him, like I'd love to play on stage with Dave Mustaine, like whether I'm in Megadeth or not, I don't give a fuck. Just getting a chance to jam with him and like watch him play rhythm guitar next to me, I'd be like, all right, so people that may not be with us, like Dimebag Darrell, Chuck Schuldiner, I would love to play with them. I'd love to play with Freddie Mercury, like stand in for Brian May in like a Freddie Mercury situation. Oh my God. Like I'd love to play like in place of Glenn Tipton and Judas Priest. I would love to play like I'd love to stand in for Glenn Tipton. What an amazing gig that would be. I'd love to stand in for Zakk Wylde and Ozzy's band. or Tony Iommi in Black Sabbath. I mean, just to stand next to Tony Iommi and play guitar, I would be like, to be like standing side by side with Jimmy Page doing the Led Zeppelin songs in 1975. Or like, Tommy Thayer got hurt, so I get to sub for him in Kiss or something. Like, oh my God. Those are the bands that I'd love to be like. I mean, you could, any famous singer like Steven Tyler, Chris Cornell, fucking Lane Staley. To get to stand in for Jerry Cantrell next to Lane Staley, oh my God. To like stand in for Gary Holt playing with Slayer, like that kind of shit. I would, one of my favorites, I would love to stand in for CC DeVille, dream gig. Like I would love to play any CC DeVille solo like live. Because Brett Michaels, he would probably appreciate me playing it correctly. But because I've heard that CC's kind of nuts and he doesn't really play the solos right anymore. But like I would love to play in Poison. The energy of that band, like a lot of people hate Poison. They're whatever. I would stand in and play it for CC DeVille, and I'd play all his solos perfect because I love CC DeVille solos. And I would love to play in Guns N' Roses, man. I'm buddies with the guys that play with Ace Frehley. I'd love to play with those guys.
The like, rock and roll residency guys.
Yeah, to be the fifth guitarist on stage, playing like Guitar Triangle or something. Just to to get to play with that. Ace is such a huge influence on me. Man, I can't even stop thinking about people to play with. And I've got a whole record collection of any one of those people I've dreamt with playing on stage with them. So, I have a very long laundry list of people I have yet to play with, and I still will play with. So,
if you filled in for Tommy, you'd be a day away from playing in Dubai.
Right? Oh my God! I would already have played in Dubai. But like Joe Hoekstra, Joe Hoekstra, unseasonably got sick with COVID, and there was a Whitesnake gig, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Fuck, I'll fill in for Joel. I'd love to play Whitesnake. Whitesnake's one of my favorite bands. Oh my God, love that band. Winger,
absolutely.
Could play rhythm in place of John Roth or something. Those bands on the cruises and at the shows. Oh my God.
I could see you in the Scorpions, dude.
Yes, I would totally be like. I would be either Rudolph or the other guy, Matthias Jabs.
Yeah.
Or any of the people that's been in the Scorpions. I would fill in for any of those people at any one of those periods. I would love that. That would be so amazing. So
that'd be so good.
Eat up all the time.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah. Angel, let's kick it up to you, buddy. Final questions, final thoughts from the Metal Summoners and yourself.
Well, more like final hellos to the fans that are saying hello, that have been watching. Craig Tate, Scott, hey Brandon, Happy New Year. Our good buddy Lonnie Hammer, thank you for watching and supporting the show. We love you, man. Scott Carlson says hello. Bradley, thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, Brad.
Our guy.
Have a fan that wants to know what's in your vinyl collection.
Oh, okay. Well, I will bring out some things.
Some gems.
And is it in alphabetical order?
Albums of all time.
Oh, dang.
This is one of the greatest live albums in existence. This has
Cream?
some
Oh, wow.
greatest live drumming and guitar playing ever.
Eric Clapton was in Cream, right?
Yep, Eric Clapton.
I'm gonna
Screaming
for you people.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Cream eventually turned into. I could no. I'm sorry. That was the Yardbirds. Never mind.
Oh, don't. I was thinking the same thing.
Creator, no shit.
Led
Yeah,
Zeppelin.
this is one of my favorite albums ever. Let's see. We have some Miles Davis quintet. We've got. So I think this is Glenn Gould playing Bach. So
On.
I have. Let's see. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Period. I love this fucking album.
Is that the Police?
Yep, Police Synchronicity.
Hell yeah.
Let's see, what else do I have here? I have a very old version of Pink Floyd's The Wall that's in really pristine condition, but I can't find it. It's in here somewhere. One of my favorite albums of all time, again.
Testament.
Practice What You Preach. One of my favorites. These are not new records that I paid $22 for at the Best Buy. These are shit I've had for 30 plus years in some cases.
Wow.
So let's see.
Is The Loyal Order coming out on vinyl?
It might.
Jeff
Nice.
Beck.
Yeah.
Let's see what I got here. All right. Aha. King Crimson Red.
Nice.
Let's see. Oh, more King Crimson. I was a very big prog fan when I was growing up. I still love it, but I just don't listen to it that much because I've been working.
What's your most prized possession in your vinyl collection?
Prized possession, probably this. I bought this when I was 15, and I've had it, and it's worn out. I don't think I can really play it anymore. But that's my Megadeth collection of the first 4 Megadeth albums. They're my 4 most important albums. They're the 4 albums that taught me how to play, and I literally used a record needle to learn how to play. I just sit there and, like old school, really do it by ear, and like the way my heroes did it, because that's all they had. They didn't have tape decks, and when you did 8-track, it went back to the beginning of the song, from what I remember. And like some people did it with tape decks and stuff like that, but most of the guys that I really love, they were learning those songs in the 70s and 60s, and they did it just like this with the record needle, and learning Devil's Island. When I'm like 13 years old, 14 years old, just trying to do it by ear, because my buddy was like, yeah, you can do it by ear. Look at me on the watch. I'll show you how to do it. And he just did it with the needle thing a couple of times. And I was like, you can do it like that? And he's like, yeah, you can. And I'm like, I will do it. And so that's how I learned how to play, by doing that over and over and over and over and over again. I would sit in my room between ages 13 and 16 for at least 4 hours a night doing that with my records. And the first 4 Megadeth records were constant all the time. Like the opening riff of Rattlehead.
Oh.
That's it. Here I come.
I love your guitar.
Something like that. What's that?
No, I love the guitar playing.
Oh, thanks, man. But like that riff, like those tunes, I would just freak out on every single day when I came home from school. My parents would be like, "What are you doing in there?" And I'm just like, "I'm learning how to play. Leave me alone." And I was obsessive with it. It was awesome.
All right, good.
I literally haven't played that "Killing's My Business" riff, like the Rattlehead riff, in like 20 years. But like,
really?
it just.
Oh,
Wow.
I love that riff.
Really quick.
And it's in a different key record, so I almost messed it up.
Really quick, you have to thank Metallica.
Oh, I do that.
Because
Metallica is a huge influence on me. Like,
no, I mean,
if
if it wasn't for Metallica, there would be no Megadeth.
That's correct. Yeah, because if they
Yeah.
had fired,
If they had fired him.
Right.
Yeah.
if they fired him,
We got the best of both worlds.
I agree. That's exactly how I felt about it for a very, very long time. I used my little comparison was always like, well, Kirk's not as good as Marty, and like when one day I was listening to a Marty Friedman interview, and he's like, I love Kirk Hammett. He's one of my favorite guitar players. I was like, all right, that argument's dead. Oh, sorry. Did I? Oh, there I am. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that-
it's been really quite that Metallica. Like, I remember my brother. He was like, "Do you know these songs?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know." And he put on Master of Puppets one night. And we were all hanging out in his bedroom. This is when I was in college, and he goes, "Do you know these songs?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Hit play, you know." And so I started jamming along with Master of Puppets, and I didn't realize how much of it I knew because I'd never tried to play along with it. But like all of a sudden, these riffs were just coming out, and I'm like, "Wow, I really must have been studying more of this than I realized, you know, sonically." And so, like the first 4 Metallica records are a very huge influence on my life, like especially "And Justice for All." Like those records really like completely changed the way I thought about music. And before that, it was all like Bon Jovi and Starship and, you know, Bob Seger and all the pop stuff. But when those records hit, it was just like my world shook internally. So.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely became a whole new time. And then it's like a final thing from me. We're coming off of Christmas and the holiday seasons. How did you spend your Christmas, man? Did you get to spend time with Lucy?
I spent a lot of time with Lucy. Tons of it. Do you mean my daughter Lisa or my
Sorry,
daughter?
Lisa. My fault, Brandon.
I spent a lot.
You
of
got
time
your daughter Lisa, but you got your guitar Lucy.
Yeah. No, I spent a lot of time with her. Like she spends time with her mother like the first few days of Christmas break, and then she came home with me on Christmas Day. And basically, what we did was cook because my Christmas gifts to myself were all spent buying a new car earlier this year, and she and I hadn't gotten a chance to go shopping because she's like me, very particular about the kind of clothes and items that she wants to buy, and she wants to be there picking it. So we did some shopping after Christmas, and that's pretty much what we do together. We just spend time cooking and hanging and talking and stuff and reading or watching movies, and you know, we're always trying to figure out new creative things to do because she's a creative mind. She's into music, she's into art. She's an incredible artist already at 15 with no lessons, you know, just nice. a natural kind of a prodigy in a way. She just knows. One day she was like 10 years old and she goes, "Hey Daddy, look what I drew." And she had made a painting. She had made a painting that was like an eye, and it had a waterfall coming out of the eye, and it was an all blue painting that was it was unbelievable for a 10-year-old to just like do. And the detail of the eye was so magical. I'm like sitting there looking at this thing. I'm like, "Did you do this?" And she's like, "Yeah, I did it." And I'm like, "You're not faking me, are you? Like, you didn't have your mom draw it or nothing, did you?" And she's like, No, I did it. And she's been doing it ever since. And it's been pretty amazing how much she's developed. It all started off just like a game that we had that we learned from a therapist. It's called Special Time. And we would sit each night we were together and we would color pictures together. And the next thing you know, she started drawing these pictures of a little girl that, you know, was kind of her idol. And she drew that same picture every single day for years. And then one day it started to look like really detailed and like a cartoon. And it's like, wow, that's really good. And then she started drawing the eyes and all this other stuff. So we spend a lot of time like doing that kind of stuff together. And, you know, making sure we have creative time to do stuff, because it's just what's natural. You know, chores don't get done, dishes don't get done. We draw pictures and make music. So
It might be time
Nice.
to hand down your Megadeth vinyl.
That's a hard no.
She has
That's
all
a
that
hard
shit on-
pass. And then it's just like a final little follow-up, just because you mentioned earlier tonight, Chris Cafferty. You live out in Portland, Oregon, and Chris has got this tiny, small little band that he does around this time of the year called Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which is split into two versions, East Coast and West Coast.
Yep.
Would you like to do something like that if it was offered to you? Do you like the idea of that kind of a show as well as playing that type of music? Is that something that you'd be down if your phone rang?
Well, yes, I would definitely be down instantly. They'd be like, "Hi, this is Trans-Siberian Orchestra," and I'd be like, "Yes." And like, you didn't ask you anything yet. Well, you calling me, so like, yes. And you know, it's just like, "Hey, do you have the number of your other guitar player in Black and Blue?" Fuck. No. But no, honestly, I would, you know, to this day, I would work with anybody on that stage. You know, they're all really, really amazing musicians. And, you know, I studied with Al Petrelli. He is now I think he is actually the owner. I think that he's one of the owners. That I studied with him, and he was always really great to me. You know, I feel lucky to have gotten some lessons with him before he blew up to be giant Trans-Siberian Orchestra star. And he's absolutely super humble. And, you know, Chris is an amazing musician, amazing writer. I mean, like,
Yeah.
He is one of my favorite metal writers. You know, I haven't listened to his records in a long time, but like, he is an absolutely extremely, extremely talented writer and singer, and lead guitarist as well. And I feel very blessed to have been working with those guys. You know, the very short amount of time that I did with them. I was having a kid, and it didn't work out with the scheduling of my daughter being born and a European tour that happened. And he didn't feel comfortable with me having a brand new baby at home and being on the road, because he's just like, "Man, if something goes wrong, you're fucked. You know, we can't have that happening." And I was like, "Okay, you make a good point." And, you know, we went our separate ways, and it wasn't easy, but at the same time, you know, I developed my life at home with my daughter, and, you know, obviously they went and had multinational success. And now I've heard that they're going to do Sabotage. You know, Sabotage is coming back to like do real shows and stuff, and I'm just like, oh my god, you know, what an amazing time we live in. So I can't wait to see that. But yeah, if Trans-Siberian Orchestra called, I'm damn sure I'd be nodding my head. Yeah, because it would be amazing. You know,
they'd be like, "Hello, you still there?" Because you're nodding your head.
Yeah, yeah, right.
If there's anybody in the room with Brandon, can you wake him up and pick him back up from the floor?
Oh, you'd be damn sure I'd have it on speakerphone. I'd be like, "Lisa."
Right. Absolutely. Well, Brandon, man, we really got to thank you for spending your evening with us, man. Stick around for just a second after we get off the air. I want to ask you something. And but thank you so much for taking some time, man. We had a great time. You know, I hope you had a good time. That's always been an important thing for us, is that you enjoyed doing the show and that you liked your questions and you just had a good time and you felt that your time was valued.
Absolutely. I had a great time. You guys are all asking really great questions and questions I wasn't expecting. So it really helped me feel creative and like get to talk about stuff I don't always get to talk about. So like, yeah, I feel blessed to have been on the show, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, brother. And real quick, you know, where can people find you and where can people find the Loyal Order stuff? So
me, I am www.brandoncookmusic.com. You can find me for lessons on Instagram. I'm BrandonCook_TLO. I'm on Facebook. I have a fan page. You know, that's the like style page, and then the friend page. Friend page is pretty much full, so come find me on the fan page if you want guitar lessons or for any playing experiences that might be associated with Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Just kidding. I'm available for live performances, studio, remote recording. I have a remote studio here that I do audio recording for. And so then BrandonCookMusic.com, Facebook, Instagram. For the Loyal Order, you'll find us at theloyalorder.com. You'll find us on Instagram. You'll find us on Facebook. So we have tons of interviews and stuff like that. If you want to find our album, we are available on Amazon. We are available on basically all digital platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. All those are available for us. I think Google Play has us up too. But you can also buy the record online through Target, at Walmart, any of the online actual physical copy distributors. And you can order a CD, a single CD, but in the made on demand, they call it the mod program, through Walmart and Target, and pretty much any outlet that does digital or physical distribution. So
What about
Nice,
vinyl?
man.
we are in the process of deciding whether we're going to make vinyl. We're not going to do that until we can take it on the road with us and sell it at shows. So it's very expensive to make vinyl, and that's the reason that they charge $22 at whatchamacallit, because it's not because
FYE something.
they actually cost like several. It's not like a CD where it's like $1 per CD or something like that. It's like $10 a disc or something like that. So it's kind of expensive. But we are planning on getting a short run of them once we start doing shows. That way we can actually sell them. Because right now they'd just be sitting there. So
Yeah.
they're expensive to ship too because they're heavy. So.
Oh, for sure. That's awesome, man. And so again, thank you so much, Brandon Cook, for spending some time with us tonight on the Metal Summit. Thank you all so much, the fans, Brandon's fans, the Loyal Order, Black and Blue, Appetite for Deception, the Metal Summoners. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in with us. Again, as always, make sure that you're hitting us up on our social medias, our YouTube page, subscribe to that, the Facebook page, the Instagram account, like and follow, so that way you guys always know when we're live. Our next guest announcement, we'll have that for you guys on Friday. We can't wait to drop that one for you guys. And as always, thank you so much for taking time to tune in with us and spending your evening with us. As always, we love you guys so much. Again, for Jason, for Angel, for Psycho Steve, for Bobby, I'm Jay. Again, for Brandon Cook, we thank you so much. Check us out, man. We're coming right back at you guys in another week. As always, this has been the Metal Summit.
Awesome.